The most obvious Cowboy newcomer was Bob Hayes, whose thrilling exploits made him one of the game's top attractions in his rookie year. Meredith finds Hayes open and hits him with a bullet. Controlling his speed, he shows the moves that only the great receivers have. Here, Hayes runs under a 50-yarder from Meredith. His reflexes and fine hands account for this touchdown. But with his speed, he can outdistance any secondary. His phenomenal speed and fine hands have made Bob Hayes a football legend as a rookie. With experience, Hayes may be the factor that tips the championship balance in favor of Dallas in 1966. When the Giants come to call at the Cotton Bowl, they know Bob Hayes only by reputation. Here, they meet him in person. Meredith takes command with the aid of Olympian Bob Hayes. Leon Donahue, number 62, and Ralph Neely, number 73, clear the field, and it's full throttle thrust for the goal line. The Cowboys hog-tie the Giants. The final score, Dallas 31, New York 2. Moments later, Bob Hayes speeds by defender Dick Lynch. Only Meredith's rifle arm is faster. Hayes takes it in full stride, and 63,000 New Yorkers become believers. Many great track names have sought football fame, but Bob Hayes is a football player who just happens to be the world's fastest living human. The score, the Cowboys 10, the Giants nothing. In the second half, Hayes takes a flat pass and accelerates downfield. In the year of the rookie in the NFL, Hayes' star was one of the brightest. Meredith finds Hayes open on a slant, and Bob turns on the afterburner. The cunning Cowboys hide Bob Hayes in the line. On this end around, Hayes shows that speed and moves equal 6 points. The success that the Cowboys experienced in 1965 featured the development of fine rookies. For example, Ralph Neely. When he teams with Bob Hayes, they look like old pros, but it takes practice. Coach Landry knows.
First time we tried that play, he outran his blockers and got tackled. This time he used the blockers and we get a touchdown.
Now Craig Morton, the rookie from California, is in the ball game. He's 6 foot 6 inches tall. Here's the fake. He's going to throw. He's going for Bob Hayes. Hayes on the post pattern, juggles the ball and still has it. Hayes will score easy and jog in. A 49-yard touchdown play. Craig Morton to Bob Hayes. Fair in Dallas, Texas. Big crowd here at the Cotton Bowl. Craig Morton going to the outside to Bob Hayes. Hayes does a little dance, gets away from Morgan and gets out to the 35. It'll be first and 10 now on the 35. This is Jerry Rome, the rookie quarterback from Tulsa. Long count as the Eagle linebackers move in and now out. Rome back to throw, going across the middle. This is Hayes again. Hayes gets away from Scarpati, stays on his feet, and finally Ramsey makes a tough tackle. 11-yard gain. It's first and 10 now on the Dallas 46. Dallas, Texas on State Fair weekend as King Hill punts the ball. King kicking from about his own 10-yard line. This is a tremendous punt. Hayes with the ball. Bob Hayes trying to get a block and gets away from one man. Finds some room on the sideline, down over the 40-yard line, down to the 30. Finally run out of bounds by Claude Crabb. 47-yard punt return by the world's fastest human, Bob Hayes. A shift from the I into the pro tee. Rome fitting to throw. He's looking for Hayes on the outside maneuver. Hayes gets away from Mike Morgan and out over the 25, the 28-yard line, and Ramsey knocks him out of bounds. Bring up 3rd and 27 now. Dallas back on their 18, and that's a shotgun formation. Rome throwing, and it's knocked by Irv Cross, and Bob Hayes has the ball. Bob Hayes down to the 40, down to the 30. He's going to go all the way. Deflected aerial. Rome threw the ball. Irv Cross almost intercepted, and Bob Hayes scores. Joe Kuharich now seeing his team go behind 17-14. 1st and 10 now on the 32. Rome, the quarterback. Going for Hayes on the outside. The quick turnout. Hayes is hemmed in and dropped there as Morgan and Ramsey make the stop. Dave Lloyd kicking off now as the Eagles move out to a commanding lead. The ball bounces. It's a short kick at the 15. This is Bob Hayes. Hayes looking for some room, gets away from one tackler. Finally falls down about the 28-yard line. The Eagles exploding now in this 4th period. Dave Lloyd kicking off. This is Renfro at about the 15. It's Bob Hayes with the ball at the 20 up to the 30-yard line. Hayes, not Renfro, with that return. Claude Crabb made the tackle. On 3rd down, we pick up Jerry Rome. Rome quickly to the outside. Hayes is knocked out of bounds right on the 40. It's a 1st down.
On 4th down and 8, Frank Lambert is in to punt. Waiting for the ball, Bobby Hayes. At the 33. Watch the speed of the Olympic star, Bobby Hayes. Back to the 44. Clark kicks off for the Steelers. Bobby Hayes waits for the football on the 6-yard line. At the 20, the 25, the 30, across the 40. To the 43, a 37-yard return. Now on 3rd down, Don Meredith, who took his team to victory over the 49ers last week, hits Bobby Hayes for 19 yards. Keys and Sherman making the stop. Late in the quarter, the Cowboys regained the ball. 1st and 10 in the 31. Meredith for Bobby Hayes. And he's off for a 31-yard gain before Willie Daniels hauls him down. 2nd and 10 in the 46. Tied ball game between the Steelers and the Cowboys. Meredith to Bobby Hayes. And he is off all the way, but his knee touched the ground, and the gain is just 3 yards. Tom Landry applauding the run. Steelers lead it 17-10. Again Meredith, this time for Bobby Hayes. Brady Keys making the tackle. Gain of 14. 2nd and 7. Don Meredith looking for Bobby Hayes. He has him. Watch this play. He is in there for a touchdown. Dallas 24, Pittsburgh 17. Less than 2 minutes remaining.
The Cowboy offense is hobbled. Olympian Bob Hayes, whose pass receptions in 1965 totaled more than 1,000 yards, comes untracked at the hands of Bobby Boyd.
These are the eyes of the fastest man in shoulder pads. Bob Hayes is a charter member of Speed Incorporated and led all NFL receivers with 13 touchdowns. It's almost impossible to shut Hayes down with a lone defender. Hayes Hayes' deceptive change of pace and fluid moves make him an elusive target in the open field. But what people come to see are his touchdowns. Bob beat defenders by the mere margin of a vainly outstretched arm. Or by a mile. His 13 touchdowns came on the shortest patterns and almost the very longest. But no matter how short or long, he did it with speed. Hayes epitomizes the Dallas speed, breathtaking speed that came within an eyelash of taking them to the Super Bowl. Speed that went flat out to a title. It was in the ends that their speed was most clearly reflected. The Cowboys had Bob Hayes. When it was man against man, a foot race to fortune, it wasn't even a contest. On many occasions, he was left wide open. This was due to the extensive coverage opponents used to harness Bob Hayes. Against Atlanta, Hayes will draw the Falcon defense to the middle. Reeves will swing into the vacated area. With everyone concerned with Hayes, Reeves can walk across the goal line. The line was quick. Giant tackles like Ralph Neely, number 73, could sail downfield and obliterate enemy obstacles. As he did against Washington, Meredith comes up with the clutch pass. The second big offensive play was by Bob Hayes, who beat Pat Fisher to the goal line and the ball.
Sensing another blitz, Meredith throws to Bob Hayes on a flanker screen. The former Olympic champion darts to the New York 25-yard line. It's 2nd and 4 on the Dallas 26. Meredith calls an audible at the line of scrimmage. Bob Hayes has half a step on Clarence Childs, and that's all he needs. 74 yards and a touchdown for Bullet Bob Hayes. This is football Texas style. On 3rd down with 5 yards to go on the New York 39, Don Meredith calls on his number 1 receiver, Bob Hayes. Bob has gotten behind Childs on a streak pattern. Meredith's perfect throw floats over Childs' head and into the adhesive grasp of Hayes for a score.
Here's a man who's a threat no matter what pattern he runs. Bob Hayes. And Bob Hayes. Dallas gains possession on their own 29. Morton pegs to Hayes on a flanker screen. With a blocking convoy ahead of him, Hayes almost breaks away. A saving tackle by Vargo halts him after 19 yards. Bob Hayes and Bob Lilly, architects of the Cowboys' success this afternoon, take a rest as Dallas prepares to punt on 4th down. Dallas Cowboys, in an awesome display of balance and power, defeat the Giants 52-7. Dallas trailing 10-0 now, moving well deep into Minnesota territory. And Meredith down the middle. There's Bob Hayes, and it's a Dallas touchdown. 37 yards. Villanueva's kick is good, and this ball game tightens up. Minnesota 10, Dallas 7. As Bob Hayes gets congratulations on the Dallas bench. And some oxygen. The ball now at the Dallas 44. The fake to Reeves. Meredith rolls out to the right. There's Bob Hayes. Fine catch. 15 yards. And a first down at the Minnesota 41.
1st and 10, Cowboys on the 49-yard line. Meredith for Bobby Hayes. He has it, and they don't catch Hayes. He's in there for a touchdown. 49-yard touchdown pass. Let's take a look at that play again. Hitting deep to Bobby Hayes. And there he goes. The Cowboys 24, the Falcons 14.
After receiving the opening kickoff, the Eagles were unable to move, and Sam Baker is punting from the Philadelphia 38. Number 22 is Bob Hayes, waiting for the punt. Hayes gets some running room and gets back for 18 yards with the punt return. Meredith faking the draw play. Looking for Bob Hayes, the world's fastest human. Hayes on the corner pattern is wide open. Touchdown, Dallas. 24-yard TD pass, Meredith to Bob Hayes. Dallas ball on the Philadelphia 36. Meredith sending Hayes straight up against the Eagle defense, spots him wide open. Number 22, another touchdown. Dallas 21, Philadelphia nothing. The first 3 times Dallas touches the ball, they get touchdowns. Bob Hayes, whose second touchdown of the game, has moved Dallas in front 21-0. Rehashes the play with Don Meredith, the quarterback. Hayes, in his second NFL season, is averaging more than 1 touchdown a game.
Bullet Bob Hayes, the Cowboys' phantom fast receiver, is one of the big reasons why Dallas boasts a 45-point scoring average. Don Meredith is the Dallas quarterback, number 17. Passes to Bob Hayes. And Hayes gets 9 yards before Chuck Walker brings him down. Now the Dallas Cowboys in possession. Don Meredith whips the ball to Bob Hayes. Larry Wilson is hanging on. An overall gain of 9 yards. Meredith under pressure here. It's Bob Hayes for a gain of 6. Wilson and Stallings on the tackle. Don Meredith retreating. Looks for Bob Hayes. He takes it and turns downfield. Hit by Mike Howell. The play gain 21 yards. We look at that again. This is Bob Hayes, number 22. Takes it and is hit there by Howell and knocked out of bounds. Don Meredith. To Bob Hayes again for 13 yards. Mike Howell, the defender. And again, we'll watch Hayes run the pass pattern. Howell cutting behind him. No, rode him out of bounds. Meredith now to Bob Hayes. 14 yards and another Dallas first down, and let's look at that one again. Bob Hayes running his pattern here. In the fourth period, Dallas in possession. 1st and 10 at the Dallas 27. Meredith finds Bob Hayes. 10 yards and a first down as he's hit by Howell. Let's look at that again now. Hayes starts his pattern. Takes the pass. Gets by Brewer. And is hit by Howell. Don Meredith looks for Bob Hayes. Finds him along the right sideline. Erich Barnes rides him across the marker, a gain of 17 yards. Meredith now again to Bob Hayes. Mike Howell makes the tackle, a gain of 12 yards.
But the Cowboys' fine defense holds, and now Lambert is back to punt for the Steelers. Bobby Hayes waits for the football. He's quick, gets a good block. A return of 14. Again, on the isolated camera, you can watch the maneuvering of Bobby Hayes, number 22. Ralph Neely, 73, blocking for him. Pushed out of bounds after a gain of 7.
Offensive ace Bob Hayes of Dallas has that worried look as the Eagles defense holds, and Dallas has to punt the football.
Cowboys ball, 1st and 10 on the 25. Don Meredith to Bobby Hayes. Good move by Hayes. He puts his quickness to use here as he picks up 8 yards. That's Crouch chasing him out of bounds. Now on 2nd down, Meredith trying to hit deep to Bobby Hayes.
He has him, and you can't catch Bobby Hayes. Touchdown, Cowboys. Score, the Cowboys 14, the Redskins 6. 1st and 10 on their own 5. Don Meredith trying to throw the bomb on the very first play for Bobby Hayes. He's got him. On his way for a touchdown. And the Cowboys increase their lead 21-6. Meredith to Bobby Hayes. Fumble, but he recovered his own fumble. Cowboys ball. They lead 21-20. Meredith to the ever-dangerous Bobby Hayes. Cowboys ball. They trail 23-21. Don Meredith to Bobby Hayes. A gain of 13. This time for Bobby Hayes. Good catch by Hayes, and a good move here by Hayes. 27.
Now Meredith back looking for his favorite receiver. And he hits Bob Hayes, number 22. He was out of bounds as the ball got away. Don Meredith to Bob Hayes. A gain of 15 yards and a first down on the Dallas 35. Meredith, number 17, setting up again. Throws to Bob Hayes. He's hit by Woodson after a gain of 14 yards. Now Don Meredith finds Bob Hayes. He goes by Marv Woodson and on toward the goal line, in for the touchdown. A 38-yard play. And we'll look at it again from ground level. Meredith setting up. Woodson is the defender as the pass goes to Hayes. And there's the touchdown. It's Dallas 20 and Pittsburgh 7 in the fourth quarter. Down and 15 yards to go at their own 36. Meredith looking for Bob Hayes. And hits him for 19 yards and a first down. Mike Howell, number 34, taking him across the sideline marker. Don Meredith to Bob Hayes for 11 yards.
Don Meredith to Bobby Hayes for 3 yards. And the penalty marker again is dropped. Another 15-yarder for a personal foul. In 2 plays now, penalties have cost the Cards 30 yards. 1st and 10 on the 25. And Don Meredith throwing deep to Bobby Hayes. He's in there for a touchdown. We'll take a look at that play again from the end zone angle, and you can see that Bobby Hayes has a step on Pat Fisher, and a step is all this speedster needs. Cowboys 14, the Cardinals 10. First and 10 on the 40. Don Meredith throwing deep for Bobby Hayes. He has it. 51-yard gain. Woodson preventing a touchdown. And on 4th down, Pat Richter gets ready to punt. That's Bobby Hayes. Jack. Ball game is tied, 10-10, third quarter. Morton to Bobby Hayes. Hayes trying to elude Clay, but is taken out of bounds by Billy Clay. Now on 1st down, Morton to Hayes. And Bobby Hayes gets a good block and turns in a fine run. He's in there for a touchdown. As we repeat that from the end zone camera, watch number 73, Ralph Neely, throw a key block right here, taking Clay out of the play. And the Cowboys have the lead, 17-10.
It's Bob Hayes again for a 1st down at the 38. Dallas, who has already clinched the Eastern Conference Championship, leading in this game 7-0. Craig Morton is the quarterback now for the Cowboys. Bob Hayes has it, and it's a 1st down at the 47-yard line. Seven game. Morton. And Bob Hayes is there for a beautiful catch and a Dallas touchdown. With 6 minutes left in the game, Dallas goes in front as Bob Hayes makes a beautiful catch for the go-ahead touchdown. Morton throws to Bob Hayes. And it's a 1st down at the Dallas 45. Again, it's Bob Hayes.
I miss all or parts of 4 games. When he was healthy, Meredith directed the Cowboy offense with flair and precision. Nothing less than victory and a Capital Division championship for Dallas. No receiver was ever out of range of Morton's powerful arm. An even more important asset was a quick, alert mind, as both he and Meredith directed the most complex offense in pro football. A more orthodox strategy was the flanker screen, utilizing the Cowboys' superior team speed. There is no one more feared in football than Bob Hayes, the man with the flashing smile and flying feet, the man who runs like the restless wind. The phantom receiver who can vanish and reappear in an instant. Coupled with the speed that made pursuit and tackling angles empty phrases, Hayes possessed the elusiveness to guide him out of the danger zone. The close contest that most predicted was shattered by a blistering Cowboy attack led by Bob Hayes, who scored 3 touchdowns as Dallas rolled up an insurmountable lead. Cowboys had used a sustained drive for their first touchdown, but for the last several years, Dallas fans have grown accustomed to the lightning play that swiftly executes an opponent. Knell was only seconds away as Don Meredith and his receivers plotted the game-breaking blow.
I saw the safety over, but he came back in.
He's going to take off for a deep post.
Right. My fault. It was my fault not get the foot. Got with the field, Melvin.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to confuse you. I'm just saying that they're going to wheel or roll the narrow side of the field, probably. That's what they've done. They've wheeled me every time since that time. That was the wide side.
Okay.
So maybe I'll hit a cheap one. If not, we hit the sideline of the wide side.
All right, good enough.
Soon, all their hopes and dreams will become a reality. And in one electrifying moment, the Cowboys will have left everyone behind.
On 1st and 10, Meredith crosses up the Browns' defense by throwing to Bob Hayes, who ties the game in one big play as the first quarter ends. Meredith quickly takes advantage of the break and gets another as a long bomb to Hayes is completed with the help of a Cleveland defender. Suddenly, lightning struck in the form of Bob Hayes. At first quarter's end, it was 10-7 Giants, and the Cowboys were still hot. Two former Olympians, Bob Hayes and Henry Carr, do battle. Hayes won this one. It was Hayes again who finished off New York and capped the wild 38-24 Cowboy win.
On 3rd and 15 at the Rams' 48, Meredith finds Bob Hayes. The play gains 14 yards. Meredith lofts a perfect pass. Bob Hayes beats two Ram defenders in the corner of the end zone. And the Cowboys are back in contention, 21-13. For Hayes, this was his 4th touchdown reception of the new season.
The combination of Morton to Bob Hayes covered 64 yards, but it wasn't enough. By the end of the afternoon, the Eagles had offered their doubting fans some very concrete answers.
Back with the second drive as Meredith threw a quick pass to Bobby Hayes, who danced for 10 additional yards.
The last 4 games between the Redskins and the Cowboys had been settled by a total of 10 points in the total time of 1 minute and 41 seconds to play. Every meeting between these two teams is a guarantee for... The Cowboys took the ensuing kickoff and on the arm of Don Meredith marched 74 yards in 10 plays to score. Using Bob Hayes, number 22, as his primary target, Meredith drove Dallas to the 6-yard line. Stymied by the tenacious Cowboy defense, the Cards punt. Bob Hayes fielded the ball at his own 31, and from there on, only seeing is believing. Dallas 14, St. Louis 7. The Cowboys struck quickly again. A flat pass to the world's fastest human, Bob Hayes, and Hayes flows by his stunned defenders to give the Cowboys a 23-14 halftime lead. Halftime strategy is discussed at the sideline. Split ends like Bob Hayes don't come along very often. This 34-yard touchdown scored the Cowboys' 37th point. Bullet Bob Hayes deserves a breather after his third touchdown.
Blanketed by tight coverage, Bob Hayes catches the first pass Meredith has thrown to him all afternoon. Number 73, tackle Ralph Neely, neatly guides Roy Hilton out of the play. He gives Meredith enough time to spot the flying torso of Bob Hayes, who beats Rich Volk to a touchdown. On that last TD, number 74, Billy Ray Smith, was finally handled by Leon Donahue. When Hayes cleared his defender, Meredith connected, and it was a game again. Colts 10, Cowboys 7.
When the Cowboys are in trouble, get the ball to number 22, Rapid Robert Hayes. The trouble is, Dallas has not been able to do this as often as it would have liked in 1967. In the third quarter, the 49ers added a field goal before the Cowboys started to move. Craig Morton, now at quarterback, hit Hayes in the flat, and the rest was all Hayes as he scampered into 49er territory.
High program, 7 years here. High program. Yes, how you get the 7 years?
One more chapter remained in the Browns' 1967 story, and unfortunately for Cleveland, it was not a happy ending. The only thing Browns fans were to enjoy in the Eastern Conference Championship game against Dallas was the halftime entertainment. From the outset of the game, it was clear that one man would dominate play, and that one man was number 22, the Cowboys' Bob Hayes.
Throw an odd formation in that we'd run another play from, primarily with Bob Hayes out to the side, but our overall team, we felt we were faster.
That speed was showcased in the conference playoffs, with Bob Hayes gaining 285 total yards as the Cowboys annihilated the Browns.
That game we were ready.
The first play from scrimmage. Meredith looking left, spots Hayes open, first down yardage. Willie Wood drives him out of bounds after a 10-yard pickup. Meredith this time with a quick play fake into the flat for Hayes. Weaving his way through the Packers, first down yardage.
As he completed 14 of his first 17 passes and gave the Cowboys a huge 31-6 halftime lead. next week, they played an uninspired game against the New Orleans Saints and were lucky to escape with a victory. Quarterback Don Meredith and the Cowboy offense showcased the NFL's highest scoring machine. And Bob Hayes treated Dallas fans to a dazzling display of flat-out speed. The Cowboys not only won their 11th game of the year, but more importantly, wrapped up the Capital Division title. Only one game remained. It was with the Giants in New York, with nothing at stake but revenge. Although he is very fast, Lance Rensel is not often called on to catch the bomb, because that is what the Cowboys have Bob Hayes for. Pro football has not eroded his Olympic speed. In fact, Hayes claims that every year he gets even faster. Hayes is the leader of football's jet set, and just about everything he catches turns into points. Hayes led the Cowboys with 12 touchdowns and led the NFL in punt returns. He personified the Dallas offense in 1968. Sophisticated, varied, and quick striking, the offense had the ability to score points in clusters from anywhere on the field. In the playoff bowl in Miami, the Cowboys rebounded from near defeat to triumph over the Minnesota Vikings.
On third down with 11 to go at midfield, Meredith found Bob Hayes in the open, and that means 6 points against any team. Due to a block conversion attempt, Dallas held a slim 7-6 lead as the first quarter ended. And it was touchdown passes to humans who move faster than humans.
It was time for a pass, so Meredith calmly fired a bomb downfield aimed for number 22, Robert Lee Hayes. The result, 6 points. On the replay, Meredith smartly faked what would have been the 8th straight run and hit Hayes on the run for the touchdown and a 7-0 lead. Meredith wanted a quick score before halftime, and he abandoned his success on the ground to get it. Watch Bob Hayes on one of his favorite patterns as he got another first down. Then he remembered a fellow by the name of Bob Hayes over the middle for a 15-yard catch and a tackle by Pat Fisher. The isolated camera gives evidence of what Hayes' speed can do, even when he doesn't have to use it. Fisher must cover him loosely and had no play on the ball. Then Meredith gave Hayes a chance to use his legs. The stadium lights were on as he came back to him with the big one, and it clicked. The ball was now on the Washington 22.
Don Meredith, although this touchdown pass to Bob Hayes was nullified when Morton ran past the line of scrimmage.
However, Morton came back to Hayes again for a touchdown as the Cowboys not only beat the injury-ridden Bears 34-3, but increased their lead over New York to 2 full games. Coach Tom Landry replaced Meredith with Craig Morton, and the fine number 2 man went right to work and right to Bob Hayes. Hayes played in the snow a little before getting back to business. But the Giants could not sustain a drive against the fine Dallas defense, and Bob Hayes added another touchdown. He continues to be the leader of the league in punt returns, this one for 63 yards.
After a 4 weeks absence, Bob Hayes returned to the lineup, and the rebuilt Dallas offense was finally intact and fully explosive. Dallas rebounded from their first defeat by trouncing New Orleans. When Bob Hayes was injured, his replacement, Dennis Homan, averaged 20 yards every time he touched a football. But only Bob Hayes can turn those 20 yards into 100 yards. Although he missed the season's first 4 games, Hayes still finished with over 700 yards in receptions. Even if pro football was a game of two-hand touch, it would be hard to lay a glove on Bob Hayes.
For over 400 yards in total offense, and he threw for 2 scores, including this one to number 22, Bob Hayes. Dallas led 17-7 and almost turned the game into a rout when Bob Hayes turned on the afterburners with a punt return. Again, Morton brought Dallas back. But this time, a sure touchdown pass resulted only in field goal position. The Cowboys still would not fold. A 99-yard drive culminated with passes to wide receivers Bob Hayes, number 22, and Lance Rinsel, number 19, to pull the Cowboys within 1 point at 24-23. We must now wait till January to find out who really is best. But as Ram coach George Allen said, 10 in a row. That's a pretty good start.
But the division title-bound Cowboys were just not that easy. They quickly regained a lead and made life miserable for Johns shortly thereafter.
Morton broke a 10-10 deadlock with a long delivery to Bob Hayes, coupled with a 19-yard touchdown lob to tight end Pettis Norman. Morton led Dallas to its first touchdown by passing first to Bob Hayes on a deep square-out pattern.
With a variety of virtuosos on offense, the play was the thing in Dallas. The offense cranked up rainbows that exploded into touchdowns. The symbol of triumph for the Dallas offense was a Bob Hayes touchdown and a field strewn with tacklers left in his wake. But too often in 1970, the symbol had soured and Cowboy fans left. It was a day for the offense, which scored 52 points. But most of all, it was a title for a team that was pronounced dead in November. It was a day that ended the most rewarding regular season in the Cowboys' 11-year history. A magic carpet ride of champions. For Dallas, the third day of January 1971 was truly
Happy New Year!
From Lance Rensel to Bob Hayes, that traveled 56 yards to a touchdown. The usually unemotional Cowboys, inspired by the Mod Rensel and driven by Staubach, scored a final time when Jolly Roger speared Bob Hayes with a bullet, as the Dallas Cowboys' 4 touchdowns in the second half buried New York 28-10. Blitz and lobbed a pass to Bob Hayes. It was an 89-yard foot race between Hayes and the Chiefs' fastest man, Emmett Thomas. It was a mismatch.
It's 38. Having set up the defense, Morton now went for it all and got it. Bob Hayes had Parker beat, and the Cowboys were back in front. On a repeat of the score, Morton sent both backs out, and his protection was the key. It held up well, and he easily found Hayes, who made a nice knee-high grab. The Cowboys had restored their big play offense to regain the lead 10-3 as the first quarter ended. We'll be right back with more exciting action on the NFL Game of the Week. Momentum of the game then took a sudden turn, and it was another big play from the Cowboys that did it. Morton again went for Hayes deep. Defender Willie Williams just nicked it. Hayes made the bobbling catch, and the world's second fastest human had given the Cowboys a 17-6 lead. Faced with another third down situation and went to Hayes, who made a great catch. A repeat shows Hayes made the catch with Willie Williams all over him. The Cowboys were at the Giant 43. Then came the key play of the game for Dallas.
Probably the most encouraging sign to troubled Tom Landry was the way his quarterback, Craig Morton, turned Washington pressure into big gains.
For 2 weeks, a cool Craig Morton has turned imminent disasters into big gains for Dallas. Against Green Bay, Morton used Bob Hayes as an outlet receiver and as a long-range missile to cut through the Packers' deep defense. Dallas used 3 Mike Clark field goals and a well-disguised end-around by Hayes to storm by Green Bay 16-3 and keep in contention with the division-leading St. Louis Cardinals. Bob Hayes created the most excitement when he went on a weaving 70-yard odyssey with a Mike Bragg punt. Unfortunately for Hayes, a penalty canceled his flirtation with the spectacular. The Dallas offense was so well tuned they turned a 1st and 42 situation into a first down.
With Dallas fans demanding blood, quarterback Craig Morton, their sometimes hero, sometimes villain, laid open a gaping wound in the Oiler defense with a 38-yard scoring strike to Bob Hayes. Another angle illustrates the reason for the play's success. Operating behind flawless protection, Morton combined with Hayes on a deep crossing pattern that beat both Hayes' primary defender, Leroy Mitchell, number 41, and his deep help, safety Ken Houston, number 29. For Bob Hayes, his touchdown signature would be repeated 3 more times today. A perfect blocking and Bob Hayes resulted in another 6 points for the Dallas Cowboys. A second look reveals that a deft play-action fake to Thomas froze the Houston defense long enough for Morton to sight his receiver. The rest was all Bob Hayes. Well, Morton's pass for Hayes was intercepted by Leroy Mitchell, whose race for glory ended in a mismatch with the fastest man in pads. Naponic went right for the 6 points. Disdaining the run, Dallas jet streamed past Houston over ground. While Bob Hayes sifted through even double coverage, Walt Garrison slid into the Cowboys, gained a 4-touchdown advantage when Morton connected with Hayes for a 3rd time. Once again, Morton's protection was perfect. Once again, Hayes left Oiler defenders clutching only air as he evaporated into the end zone. Within a minute and a half of their last connection, Morton and Hayes did it again for the 4th time. This time, Hayes was alone at the sideline as he revved up and motored for a 59-yard touchdown run. The play is worth repeating because Morton's beautiful fake to number 35, Calvin Hill, occupied 2 Houston linebackers and allowed Hayes to finish his best day ever with 4 touchdowns and 179 yards on 6 receptions. Dallas 38, Houston 3.
Time getting under the block of Ditka. 3rd and 6. Dallas from the 37. Morton with good protection. Bob Hayes at the 50-yard line. Left to play in the half. There's Bobby Hayes. You notice Bobby's got some gloves on here at the side. A little chilly down there in the shade, and of course the entire playing field now is just about in the shade. Temperature in the low 50s. A little breeze blowing.
That's another interesting comparison. You're looking at Bob Hayes, and for the Detroit Lions, they have Earl McCullough. Both great track champions. Both well under 9.4 for the 100.
Hayes last Sunday against Houston caught 4 touchdown passes, which was a club record. There's McCullough, number 25.
For Dallas, an offense, number 22, wide receiver Bobby Hayes, a one-time world's fastest human who's the Cowboys' leading pass catcher.
Only once did Morton resort to that old and honored Cowboy trademark, the long pass to Bob Hayes. Hayes' catch brought Dallas to the Baltimore 6.
A call for Morton to continue to try and hit Hayes deep. And this one was a beautiful pass between 2 Colt defenders that brought the ball to the Colt 6. Then one of the big plays of the game occurred as
their path to a championship began in Buffalo. While the defense faltered, the many-splendored Cowboy offense exploded for 7 touchdowns that blitzed the Bills, 49-37. The New York Giants. Dallas mustered a convincing 44-21 victory, and their clumsy trip to Super Bowl VI was rerouted again. Roger Staubach twice unleashed a tried-and-true Cowboy tradition, the bomb to Bob Hayes. After the 42-14 romp over New York, Staubach possessed a versatile variety of receivers. For running under the rainbows, there was Bob Hayes. Total concentration, sure touch, and sprinter speed has made Hayes a finished receiver. The Cowboy offense, pro football's pinball machine, lighting up scoreboards for 406 points in 1971. Thomas's touchdown, 2 Mike Clark field goals, and Staubach's scoring strike to Hayes in the clutch gave Dallas 20 big points.
Score when quarterback Craig Morton's deft play-action fake froze the Bills' secondary, and Bob Hayes galloped unmolested to a 76-yard score. Dallas' doomsday defense has always depended on their...
Out to the right goes Bob Hayes, number 22. He'll work against Pete Athens. Cowboys into their own unusual formation. This is Lance Allworth in motion left. Staubach has Hayes. Athens is there, but Hayes moves into Giant territory at the 37.
Really a good move by Bobby. You watch him take Pete Athens down. He goes, tries to get up inside of him. He comes back, breaks to the outside. Pete Athens was also with Dallas at one time, and I'm sure he's seen Bobby run deep. He'll give him plenty of room. That ball was well thrown. Good route by Hayes.
You can call that formation what you want. Allworth goes motion. It's time for Bob Hayes. Athens is there for the tackle.
Good catch by Bobby.
Great catch by Bob Hayes.
Sure looked like he got a real hard fall. Came back, hit his head on the hard turf here. We'll take him. He's going out on sideline route. Making move. This is Athens. Pete Athens coming there. Bob goes up, keeps his eye on the ball. That's a heck of a catch. Watch his back of his head. Wow. And he is down there. We'll take one look at it again. He fakes the play pattern. It was in a double wing set. Good protection. Roger throws, sideline route. And what a fall.
Otto Brown, number 21, has come into the lineup for the Giants in the prevent defense. Second down, 25. Staubach looking. Oh, and he fires out to Bob Hayes, who is really up in it.
Oh, Bobby catches him. They've been making him pay for him tonight. He's hung on to a couple of good ones.
Pete Athens moving up to make the stop.
You'll also see Staubach utilizing Coach Landry's theory. Let's try to get half of it first. He goes down. They had 25 to go. He's trying to pick up about 15. Good sideline pattern.
And you saw the penalty against the Giants, 5 yards. Down remains the same. 1st and 5. Cowboys now inside Giant territory at the Giants' 49-yard line. Lance Always motion left. Martin looking deep for Bob Hayes. And that's why they pass.
That's one reason why you want to put up in the air every now and then.
That's right, but only after you've laid the foundation.
Absolutely right, Howard. That was a great throw.
Between Athos and Joe Green, the completion. Right on target. Bob Hayes. He is really something special.
It really is good to have somebody like that on your side, man, because he can really get open. Here it is again. Craig sets back, throws. And Bobby, I mean, it's just, there's not anybody really can keep up with him. It's not a discredit to anybody over on defense. You get him man-to-man. He's caught 4 passes tonight for an even 100 yards. But it sure is good to have him on your side. Working with his masters. We may have gotten it last year, in fact. And there's Turkey Lurkey himself. Rapid Robert.
And NFL Monday Night Football, the New York Giants versus the Dallas Cowboys, continues from the Cotton Bowl with the score. The Cowboys 20, the Giants 6. Bob Hayes along with Charlie Waters. And Bob Hayes will put a little fear in the heart. Bob Hayes, that's the 15. Watch out. Could not stay in bounds. Bob Hayes out of bounds at the 22-yard line. Joe Green there.
All right, I think this is another good move by Bobby. They were trying to set up the return over to the left. He's just not going to make it. He does have the speed to do something like this. A lot of times you'll see guys caught back here, but he's just reversing his field totally on his own decision. Again, I think it's another good decision. Bobby's not the biggest guy in the world. He knows his biggest asset to this club is stay healthy. He's trying to tightrope that thing down there. He did step out of bounds. Maybe he realized that.
Threw a perfect pass to Bob Hayes, who had beaten the cornerback, and Dallas had their touchdown. Hayes pulled a muscle on the play. However, the Cowboys were back in the ball game 17-14 with 13 minutes to go. A taste of running, a touch of defense, spiced with Bob Hayes, blended nicely into a homemade treat for Dallas fans. Hayes' first touchdown was a tribute to his speed. His second showcased his surprisingly soft hands and turned the game into a laugher for the Cowboys. Dallas won the first half 34-7, but the second half was dominated by Jim Plunkett and the splendor of his mighty right arm.
Here avoiding a safety blitz by Smith and hitting Bob Hayes to the Bears' 25.
But one of his finest days. Roger the Dodger, the NFC's leading passer, evidently didn't appreciate his New York welcome as he bombed the Giants right out of Yankee Stadium. Twice, Staubach found swift Bob Hayes, number 22, for long-range touchdowns. The first connection was good for a 46-yard score. And on the second, Staubach launched the rocket to Hayes for 80 yards, the longest touchdown pass of the year in the NFC. Staubach has been the #1 quarterback since the start of...
Dwayne Thomas gained 1 yard and 2 carries, and then Roger Staubach stepped back and hit Bob Hayes for 18 yards to the Minnesota 22-yard line. But there, the people had gained. Then he found Bob Hayes lonely in the end zone, and Dallas held a commanding 20-3 hammer over the Vikings. From that point on, with 13:22 elapsed in the third period,
in the late stages of the first half, Roger Staubach took over the game. He rifled one for a first down to Bob Hayes. Now it was again Staubach's turn, but he too was facing one of the NFL's toughest defenses. The 49ers gave up the short sideline passes, but did an excellent job of protecting against a Cowboy trademark, the long bomb. Cowboy wide receivers Bob Hayes and Lance Allworth had trouble getting open against the glove-tight coverage of the 49ers secondary.
Wide receiver Bob Hayes has been hampered this year by injuries and the increased use of the zone defense. But with his speed and experience, he is always a threat.
You know, people fail to realize that when you find a zoning team, they're not 100% a zoning team. They're about 80, and sometimes, you know, that other 20% you can drop the bomb.
All around, I think that we'll be going against one of the greatest receivers as far as running and blocking in Paul Warfield. But if I had to have a home run ball, I'd still pick Bob Hayes.
Warfield is one of the greatest receivers ever to play football. I really admire him. I think that all the honors that he's getting, he deserves them because he's a great athlete.
Thank you very much, Jack. There's no tougher place than being in the loser's dressing room. And I'll tell you one thing, Don Shula didn't have to apologize for that ball club. They are scrappy and they hit and they just kept coming. I have with me two of the offensive performers for the Cowboys, two of the great ones, John Nyland, the great guard on my left, and of course Rapid Robert Hayes, who is just about as fast getting out of his jersey and pads as he is on the field. But Robert, how you doing, buddy?
Hi, Tom.
It's been a long time getting up here for the real big one, right?
That's right. I come here in '65 with the Cowboys, and they've been basically the Cinderella team of pro football, and it couldn't be a greater feeling than this dressing room this afternoon.
Bobby, I don't want to belabor anything. Dwayne Thomas is a super football player, one of the greatest natural talents I think that's come in this league in a long time. Could you tell that Dwayne was going to come out and really have the sparks going today? Did you notice anything prior to the game?
Yes, Dwayne's been working extremely hard all week, and Dwayne's an individual that worked himself up for a ball game. This week, Dwayne was together. They just did everything perfectly and workouts, no fumbles, no drop passes or anything. And mentally, I figured that Dwayne was ready to play football. And honestly, I think that Dwayne is the premier running back of pro football. And I think that a lot of people see him a lot of times, and I feel that Dwayne continue playing, he's going to tear a lot of holes in people.
Thomas up here in just a moment. Jimmy Brown, good to see you, buddy. How you doing?
Right.
The great JB, number 32. You've been over a lot of them, Jim. Just for a moment, Bobby, too. This is a little different than the last time at the loss in Green Bay when you had almost frostbite and some things. A little bit warmer today anyway, right? And the right result?
Like I said, you know, when you went in one of the dressing room, it's a greater feeling being a loser. And I must say that, you know, I've been a world champion before. But I think that this is one of the greatest feelings I ever had in athletics. And I would just particularly think that not only an individual, me running track being a world champion, it's also 40 other guys, and I think it's a tribute to everybody who's in Dallas who represents them.
Bobby, you're not only a super player, you know you're a super guy, and you did great on that comedy bowl. You look great.
Well, you know, nobody's perfect.
Bobby Hayes, still the world's fastest human in my mind, I'll tell you that. Thank you very much, Bobby.
The finish.
Tried and true Bob Hayes as Dallas edged Chicago 20-17. The targets for Starbuck and Craig Morton range from a gray beard like Bob Hayes to gray hounds like Drew Pearson. Back home at Texas Stadium, they gained revenge and their third straight victory as they beat Philadelphia 31-10.
Connected with Bob Hayes, who last season failed to catch a single touchdown pass.
Offense, Roger Staubach was superb, and Bob Hayes was a blur in the Cardinal secondary.
Roger Staubach caught bullet Bob Hayes on the fly. Dallas built a 17-0 first quarter bulge. Given that break, Dallas decimated the Eagles. On a delay pattern, Staubach hit Bob Hayes streaking against the grain.
line, rookie safety Randy Logan met Hayes one-on-one and lost. Trailing 21-10, John Reed stood in.
Roger Staubach unleashed the home run to Bob Hayes. The 50-yard explosion
until the final minute that the Cowboys crossed the goal line on a Staubach to Bob Hayes girder scraper, which narrowly avoided a shutout.
Caused Los Angeles to begin to worry all over again by the playoffs. It's been, in other words, a season like all of the other seasons, with a lot of excitement and with a lot of disappointments for teams and a lot of happiness for other teams.
First down, Bob Hayes. He has to get out of bounds to kill the clock. And he does not get out of bounds. Clock continues to move. The Cowboys hustling up to the line of scrimmage. You can believe the Raiders will take their time. If they take too much time, the referee will stop the clock himself. He's in the...
All eyes on Bob Hayes, fastest man in the world. Hayes went like an express train.
Faster than a speeding bullet. And that was Bob Hayes. Bullet Bob Hayes.
Bob Hayes is a football player who just happens to be the world's fastest living human.
Hayes goes down in history as a trailblazer.
Was ahead of his time, was probably that first unique burner.
Hayes had the race in his pocket the minute he left the starting blocks.
Hayes was the only athlete to win both an Olympic gold medal and a Super Bowl ring with the Dallas Cowboys.
They were a team that thought outside the box before the rest of the league even knew there was a box. They drafted Bob Hayes feeling that he could be a dynamic wide receiver, and in fact he was a wide receiver that changed the game.
Sophisticated, varied, and quick striking, he personified the Dallas offense.
A guy who looks like he could play today. He was as ahead of his time as a Jim Brown.
Hayes is the leader of football's jet set, and just about everything he catches turns into points.
Hayes was an immediate sensation. In his first 2 seasons, he led the NFL in receiving touchdowns.
You know, he was a new element to the NFL with his great speed, punt returns, kickoff returns.
Bob Hayes could play. He could break tackles, he could catch the football, and he might have been the greatest deep threat the game has ever known.
Growing up a Giants fan, you watched Bob Hayes and you feared every single time he touched the ball that he was going, 75 yards.
Pro football has not eroded his Olympic speed. In fact, Hayes claims that every year he gets even faster.
In fact, in 1970 and 71, he led the league with an astonishing average of 25 yards per catch.
Considering those numbers and that yards per catch average, today we would be saying, greatest ever, the greatest we've ever seen.
You always talk about players who revolutionized the game. That was Bob Hayes.
He made defenses adjust. That's the thing you like about Hayes.
Called the zone defense. The zone defense was installed in football because Bullet Bob Hayes was faster than any defensive back that you could put on him, so they had to put a zone matchup.
And the corners played off of him so far, he basically invented the quick screen.
Now you're talking about innovation. So you're talking about speed transcending the game just between the lines, but also in the coach's minds. That goes a long way.
His speed obviously was the thing that got him into the NFL. It's the thing that made him a Hall of Famer.
Unfortunately, Hayes passed away before he was finally voted in.
I'm sorry it took so long for Bob Hayes to get in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, because there's not many players you can say changed the game when he played, and it's still played that way today.